This is Eric Rutan of Cannibal Corpse. You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast with Andrew McKay Smith.
G'day everybody, thanks so much for joining me, I appreciate it. This episode features a chat with Cadaver frontman Anders Odden. Now the compelling event, the catalyst behind the chat, is due to the launch of a new album from the group. It is titled The Age of the Offender. It'll see the light of day on July 1, 2023 via Nuclear Blast Records. And yes, we talk about all the reasons why Anders decided to name the album that way. It is this very strange left-leaning era that we're all living through at the moment, politically speaking and socially speaking. And elsewhere, we even try to recreate one of the tunes on the album. We bring out our instruments, and I think we kind of not really got there in the end, but it was good to at least try. What else do we talk about here? He was a member of Satyricon, so what's going on there, or what's not going on there, more to the point. And something that I didn't know, Anders was a member of the monotheist lineup of Celtic Frost. Not the recording lineup, but the touring lineup. So it was an opportunity to dive a bit deeper and gauge his understanding of some of the issues that were happening in the band at the time. Because remember, Thomas G. Warrior, that's when he decided that was it. Celtic Frost is done. He's been doing Triptychon ever since. Okay, if you're listening via the podcast apps, I have a tune to share with you. This one is titled Scum of the Earth. Of course, it's taken from the album, and once it's done, we'll dive into the conversation. For you people on YouTube, you know the drill by now. I can't play music on the platform, so here's the conversation. Either way, let's dive into it.
Terrify me.
have you been, mate? You're at the end of a very long block of interviews.
I am, but it's interesting how people ask different things so far, so it's good.
Been entertaining?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, great.
It's good to see so much interest from your side of the world. I don't think I've done this many interviews with Australia ever, so that's really interesting.
Yeah, well, John does a great job, but I think interest in the band is definitely building, as you're probably aware.
Yeah, it seems like it. That's really, really interesting.
Yeah. Killer album, The Age of the Offended. Okay, so that's a new album for you. It'll be out in a few weeks' time, of course, because I'm a member of the Nuclear Blast pool. There we go. Beautiful cover. Love it. The grand tradition of grinding covers there, grinding album artwork there for you. Look, it is the group's sixth album, and with the title, you're showing your hand very early, which is great, by the way. I love this resistance that's happening at the moment, okay? Because we do live in an epoch where men are women and child mutilation is a state-sanctioned practice. Monoethnic multiculturalism, it's changing swathes of France, Britain, and cities like Oslo, Antwerp, Birmingham, and Sydney. And identity politics, look, it's the mandate of the left and murderous Marxist ideology in the form of critical race theory. It's being adopted by schools, colleges, and many taxpayer-funded institutions. So I know that's a hell of an introduction, probably different to anything else you've ever got. But which one of these topics or anything else made their way onto the album?
Well, I think the whole idea I had was to show a little bit the sarcasm and humor that we all grew up with likes of Monty Python and stuff like that, where black humor and sarcasm was a very important upbringing for us. Being offended by things was actually what led us into this extreme metal that we are all a part of now. And without offensive artists pushing boundaries, whether it be in humor or music, the world wouldn't be as interesting as it is right now. I think all the ideas and the strength of being diverse as human beings is diluted by making people try to think the same things. That, to me, that everybody should be the same and think the same way is equivalent to 1984 by George Orwell and the fascist states in the world. And what we should be aware of is that the freedom we have of expression and the freedom we have of being different is something kind of new compared to the medieval times, where the church and the state was controlling everybody in a total different way. And when we see that the same way now in countries like Russia or Iran or wherever people are forced to, be on the same page or otherwise persecuted or killed for being different, I think that's a sign for us all to treasure much more the freedom we have and not being obsessed by other people's different opinions as if it was a threat, rather than example of how different human beings are. At the same time, we're all very, very similar. So it's funny how the world seems to go a little bit backwards right now, and that we should all be aware of this, and we have to have more confidence in whatever we're doing ourselves to make the world a better place or a more interesting place, rather than trying to go along with everybody else, so to speak.
Which issue or which topic is of the most concern to you?
Well, the issue and topic which is most concerned to me is the fact that people are now obsessed with their own image in social media, if you could say it that way, that everybody are a celebrity in their own group somehow, being filmed all the time, makes people second guess lots of things they would just do for fun in the past, and now everything is taken seriously or literally all the time, rather than being ironic or funny, or just, people are stupid as well. We have to acknowledge that. Lots of people are just ignorant and idiots, and if we're not able to say out loud what we want to do or want to say, or are restrained in our expression not to offend anyone, it feels like we're in a very different time and age than I thought we would go into with the progression that has been made. So having said all that, back in the day, nobody was concerned with a lot of things that people are concerned with now, because they didn't get the kind of news cycle like we have now.
Yep.
If you look at the news on TV from the 80s, it's all dead serious about whatever topic it is. But now everything's clickbait. Everything is just there for you to spend more time on your phone going through all kinds of cascades of idiocy and stuff that really should not concern you as much. And we are trapped in this way of looking at things that makes us all kind of victims of our own circle somehow. I find it very liberating not to have a regular TV at home. I'm not spending a lot of time looking at other people's dinners or whatever they have on social media to show for that they have a perfect life, perfect wife, perfect dinners, workouts. Look at me now, I'm on the top of a mountain, like whatever. Yeah, so you are, and I'm not. I don't care. It's like all these things are just in the way all the time if you let yourself into that rabbit hole of just pure nothingness. And I think being creative and trying to do something for yourself and for others by being creative and being even a part of the real world is more than enough, and people should try it sometimes.
So you talked about things that are immediately obvious in so far as anybody with a phone can relate to what you're talking about. But there is a slightly more obscure, maybe hidden aspect of governance that we're all under the hammer of at the moment. I'm talking about unelected officials from the World Health Organization, the World Economic Forum, and with you guys. I know Norway isn't part of the EU, but it has an enormous impact on trade in that bloc. So did any of these topics and the perniciousness of the authoritarian left, did any of that seep into your lyrics?
Well, I try to be more, how should I say, above it all. I'm not trying to advocate any specific direction. I think the extreme left and the extreme right have very much in common, more than dividing them. I think this way of looking at everything just black and white is the enemy. If nuance and figuring
Definitely.
out more, there's always reasons behind action that you're not aware of, because they only portray the most extreme parts in a way that makes you, like I said, clickbait. So I think the world is a very interesting, diverse place, and we should treasure the fact that it is. Different cultures should be different cultures, and everything should not be the same everywhere. I think also that we should be able to accept much more than we do, because somebody wants to do things totally differently, we shouldn't judge them all the time compared to what we are expecting from things. It's very much like trying to open up a new door inside you. If you let go of all these things that pisses you off all the time, you realize that you have much more time on your side to do things you do like. There was, I don't remember what actor, but somebody was pointing to an actor's movie career, saying all the films he's doing really sucks. I hate them all. And his response was, how do you find time to see all my movies that you hate? Why don't you spend time on seeing movies that you like? Stuff like that. It's very easy to be destructive, but it's much harder to be building things and trying to explore things. Correct. For yourself, for others.
Yeah. I reckon Sycophant Swing, talking about the music, is probably my favourite track that's been released so far this year. And it goes for about 1 minute and 26 seconds, I think, something like that. But you've captured something in that tune. It's very mournful, but it's interesting. It has a sense of hope about it too. It's a paradoxical tune, is my point. Were you tempted to expand on that song and make it just a bit longer, say, and make it even more of a theme throughout the rest of the album, or did you strictly intend for it to just be once off?
Well, I strictly thought I would make this as an intro piece. I deliberately wrote it like it is to be going in a direction that, like you say, gives you an anticipation of what's coming next. It has that cliffhanger at the end, which is a perfect thing for an intro. And the fact that we use trombone, which is rarely used in metal, it's a very important part of that. That makes the somber, melancholic sound and feel to it. And it's the same trombone player that did the first intro for the first Cadaver album playing it, actually. So I'm really happy that he could come back and do this with us. And
nice.
Trombone is actually an instrument which is entirely made of metal. So it's, like I said to somebody else,
very
like,
true.
If you don't think trombone belongs in metal, look at the instrument. It's pure metal, and the guitars and drums are made of wood. So there's nothing more metal than a trombone.
I love the way it goes. I think it's a G sharp, isn't it? So you hit the G sharp, then you go to the D, and then it climbs from there, and like almost a pentatonic sort of sequence without coming back down. It just climbs. Yeah.
It is actually a chromatic sequence.
Sequence, sorry. Yeah.
It's also holding one note throughout the whole thing, which is interesting. It's just something I kind of learned from Ronnie Litekra, that there's no wrong notes on the scale. If you hold one note on the guitar and keep playing that, you can play pretty much everything else around it, and it makes a very different kind of musical approach. And I really, really want to explore more for the future, to just hold on to if you have one main note that doesn't change, but everything else changes around it. It's really, really weird how the ears are capturing that as the note going in and out of minor and major scales and dim scales within the whole thing. So it's I should probably try to write it out on score and make it be played by a different instrumentation or something. It would be really interesting, because it's something that is common in some classical music, but
definitely
many metal bands are more into trying to show off all the time all the notes they can hit at the speed of light. And what I find more like this is a total opposite of that. It's trying to find how much music can you find in one note, rather than having like 10 million notes played at rapid speed. All that does is to make like something that sounds very impressive, but it doesn't really capture you, because the human ear is not actually able to distinguish between things that are going too fast. Then it all becomes just like, just like
it's ridiculous.
It just merges into some sort of noise. But holding in one note it's a very interesting concept. It's very monotone, but it's also not monotone at the same time. It's really weird how that goes.
Yeah, it's paradoxical. Like I was saying, that's what I found about it. I must have listened to that tune alone 30 or 40 times, and I've played it on the guitar and on the bass, and I held the D sharp, and I've held the E minor. I think it might be the same thing, but held it, and then I went down to the D. Yeah, there you go.
If you really want to dive into this,
yeah, no, awesome, killer.
Sorry.
Oh, bummer. Oh, cool. Okay. Here we go.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, that's all good. No worries. No worries whatsoever.
Did you hear that at all?
No, I couldn't hear it at all.
Okay. But it's this weird chord. You can't hear it.
No, I can't. Sorry, I can't hear it. Yeah.
Well, anyway, it is a major chord, but it's played without the fifth, and I don't remember what it's actually called. Maybe I should.
I know what you're saying. Hang on, I'm just gonna. Yeah, I've got my basses here. Hang on,
Yeah, I know. I'll get an acoustic guitar. 1 second.
Oh yeah, sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, this guitar is tuned normally, so it will be like a one whole note up.
There we go. Okay.
You can hear that, right?
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of out of tune. Yeah, it has that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of really weird because it goes. The most dissonant chord is.
Yeah. Yep.
And maybe you could. So, I mean, is that tuned normally?
Mine's in concert pitch. Yeah, 5-string. Yeah. So I think it's a D. It was an E minor, wasn't it? It starts in like or
it starts
E flat
on the. Yeah, D flat, E flat.
D flat. Okay.
Yeah, but on the scale, I mean, how I play it on guitar, this is obviously normally tuned E A D. You know, so it's on the F. On the F.
Yeah. That's where I'm at now. So F there.
Yeah, and then G and E.
Oh, is that right? So it goes from F, G, E.
Yeah. But it has that, which is E, D, and this position on the G string.
Okay, you're right up there. Yeah.
So that's.
What's that? What's that chord called? What's that? It's like a
It's actually just it is G major.
Oh, you're doing G major. Okay, gotcha. Yep.
Yeah. So it's. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sweet. Yeah. No, that's great. No, I just think it's you've tapped into something there that I'd love to hear you expand on, and even maybe use as the musical narrative for an album moving forward.
Yeah, well, yeah, totally. No, but I'm actually I'm doing a very different project right now, actually, which is going much more in that direction, but it's with a female singer. So it's a very different. Yeah, I'm actually working on something which is been cooking in my studio all this year, but it's total different project. But it's a songwriter project first of all, and we're trying to make film music and or stuff for a series or whatever. So it's a very different. I'm using all my musicality from Cadaver and everything else into this. It doesn't even have a name right now, but it's something which is deeper into that direction.
Would you, a bloke like Jonas Ackland, someone like that, are you working with somebody like him?
You mean the director?
Yeah, the director. Yeah.
No, I'm not working directly with any director. The way we have started just to make music, and we haven't really found anyone who wants it yet because it's not ready. So we're just working on stuff, which is very different and very haunting and very melancholic in a total different way. But it sounds to us like every song is a movie in itself. But it's I can talk more about that later.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Hey, let's talk about the musicians that you involve. So you've already talked about Ronnie Latecro a little bit, but your combination with him and with Dirk is just fire at this point in time. So does it come together fairly quickly for you guys as a trio?
Yeah, I mean, the way this was done was that I wanted to pay tribute to my youth and what inspired me originally, trying to make music on my own. And my first ever band was called Deadly Metal, after the song from TNT, Deadly Metal. So I thought about making a new version of that song. I mean, a cover version. And then I realized, sitting down, listening to it again, that I wanted to destroy the song, basically, and rewrite all the riffs a little bit. There's actually one part of it where the riff is exactly like the original, where he plays the lead. But originally, I just made a demo, and I knew him a little bit, not very close, but enough to call him and say, "I'm doing this. I want you to listen to the demo to approve that we can destroy your song." As the copyright holder, I mean the songwriter for the song. So yeah, he was intrigued by this. So I sent him the demo, and then he called me back like literally a couple of hours later saying, "This is fucking amazing. I want to play lead on this when it's done." So that's how that started. So it just started like an idea that he jumped on. So when we had recorded the whole album, I went to his studio to get him to record lead guitar on this one track. That was the original plan, and that would have been amazing in itself. But then he got so inspired from it that he wanted to record on more songs and then more songs. And I really realized that, wow, this is really giving the album a flair and sound that I've been kind of looking for, but I didn't know how to obtain. So he came on board and did the whole album and wanted to be a part of the whole thing, videos, photos, everything. So down the line, we're also talking about, of course, bringing this lineup out on the road, but that needs, for that to happen, obviously the band needs to get recognized for this new album, and we'll see how that goes. Hopefully the music is strong enough to make us able to go out on the road. It's not like we have to demand insane money or anything. It just has to fit everybody's schedule and, of course, make sense from a commercial point of view. But we will definitely make more music together, and hopefully next time be in the same room and see what the hell that will be like. It will probably be something completely different again, but also insanely happening and interesting.
So Dirk did everything from the United States, I take it, then?
Yeah, I mean, on the previous album, we worked remotely as well, but then I went to his place and his studio to record all the songs together in the room. That was intentionally what we would do now too, but of course this was recorded in the fall of 21 and the winter of 22. And as you probably remember, that time was very restricted on travel and everything. The whole situation in the world looked really bleak. So we just decided to do it remotely. And the producer is actually the only guy that went to everybody's studio with bits and pieces, and we worked together with him all the time, but in the room. But it really worked out because we did this previous album together, and we knew how, or we would do things. And it's been now 25 songs I've done with Dirk, and it's just building. So I think we'll do several more albums in the future. But this time, I think this is a benchmark for us and the new lineup to really get recognized for the kind of band we really are, and not just an old, obscure death metal band from Norway, but something brand new and exciting for people to listen to now.
Yeah, great way of phrasing it. Yeah, I got that sense on Edda and Bile that you weren't fucking around, that you were here for good, and that this is, especially with Dirk and the band, and of course now with the explanation that you've given around Ronnie's involvement, and in particular around your intention to tour with the lineup. So, sure. I mean, that's going to be logistically a bit of a challenge, I imagine, because, Dave Mustaine is he's a strange guy, let's face it. So do you reckon Dirk will get you a leave pass to be able to do the tour?
I don't know. Of course, I don't want him to be kicked out of Megadeth, because it's a good way for him to express himself as a musician and make a living from music. So, but I'm 50, he's 48. So, we intend to be here for the long haul, and I don't know, 10 years from now, Ronnie will be as old as Mustaine, so that's a problem. But we have a very, very good drummer who's jumping in for Dirk when he's not able to play. We have done one show together actually in 2019 with Dirk in Norway on a festival. So it's been done, but we'll see how much downtime he's getting from Megadeth, and if that's then possible for him. Or otherwise, we'll bring Bjørn Ueno as a very competent live drummer, and he's also with Borknagar and Trollfest and some other Norwegian session things. So he's 30 years old and really, really, really good. So and approved by Dirk. So as I told him, being the stand-in drummer for one of the best metal drummers in the whole world means something too. So everybody will be, looking at him for what he's doing, and he's doing it really good. So the key here is to make the schedule work with Ronnie. So we're rehearsing now with Bjørn as the live drummer, and Eilert Solstad on double bass, and me. And then when we try to probably incorporate as many songs from the new album as possible, at least 8 of them or something, into the new live show, and then bring Ronnie on as well, and see. That's probably a 2024 project.
Okay. So a 2024 project then. So what's on the horizon for Satyricon?
I'm no longer really working with them because I'm too busy with my own things. So they're doing some art projects, which I'm not really aware of where it is in the pipeline right now, but there's no plans for live appearances with them either. So I'm totally focused on my own things. I haven't played live with them since 2019. So yeah.
Okay. Well, you two of the best drummers in the business, though, and you've been in a band with both of them. What are the key differences between Frost and Dirk?
Oh, that's 2 totally different approaches to everything. First of all, Dirk is also able to play guitar, and he's a very musical guy in a wide sense of the word. He's educated in music schools and everything, and he has his own style in a very different way than Frost. And I mean, Frost is a phenomenal drummer in a total different direction. He's much more extreme and raw in a way, you know. But having Dirk playing on my things makes the whole difference for me because of his musicality and his way of also arranging things, and also he's coming up with his own riffs and stuff like that too, which we used for one of the songs on the new album, the one called Crawl of the Cadaver. And what is interesting to me is that he did the same thing with Megadeth. There's one song that he did on the Megadeth album, and when I heard that, I heard immediately it was him. And it's funny if you hear those two songs. I can't recall what it's called now, the Megadeth song that he wrote, but if you listen to our song that he wrote and the Megadeth song that he wrote, you can hear that it's the same guy coming up with some of the ideas, which is kind of weird.
Nice. Yeah. He told me that he'd written some songs previous to the album even being demoed, and he wanted to submit them, or they were under consideration by Dave Mustaine. Now, I think I could be wrong here, but they may be the first songs that Dave has considered from a member of the band to be included on an album in well over a decade and a half. And that's come from David Ellison's told me that he won't accept other ideas. It's a closed shop insofar as ideas are concerned. I heard the Strength of the Act of Defiance album, and I knew that Chris Broderick obviously could write some songs, but the tunes that made the Act of Defiance album in 2017 or whatever really should have been Megadeth tunes. You can hear that. But Dave is a closed shop, but he must really have taken a shine to Dirk to allow his songs to be on a Megadeth album.
Sure, but I mean that goes to the credit of his talent. You know, he's just a phenomenal, talented guy. And if you have him in the band and you don't see that, or you don't let him shine, I don't think you understand who he is. You know, because he's a phenomenal musician.
Yeah. Hey, have I got time for a couple more questions, or have you got to head off?
Well, gotta head off pretty soon, but yeah, we can take one more.
One more. The Morbid Angel tour at the turn of the century. I'll get it out. What are your recollections of that one?
Well, the biggest recollection is the fact that the bass player and singer at the time was none of the known guys from Morbid Angel at all. It was Jared Anderson.
Jared Anderson, yeah.
And
rest in peace.
Yeah, I was bummed out that he died so quick, so early. We had a really good time on that tour, and especially with him hanging out in different places. Tour was really extreme. We had 30 shows in 31 days. So it was really heavy physically, but luckily for us, we were young and promising guys. So we had a good time. But one of the shows, he actually lost his voice totally. So one of the shows were sung by Eric Rutan.
I heard about this, yeah.
And that was probably the best show on that tour. I just got mesmerized by the fact that Rutan should probably have been the singer in Morbid Angel when David Vincent left, because he has a phenomenal and huge voice. But I understand that what he's playing on guitar and singing at the same time on the fly is extremely complicated. It's something you need to learn and rehearse, but he knew the song so well, he could just do it on the fly, which was super impressive. Yeah,
that's one of those shows. I didn't speak to Eric about it, but I've certainly heard about the legend of the show, and you were on the tour, and so you witnessed it. And I was hoping you might bring up something like that, because there are just those shows that happen, aren't they? And they go down in folklore, but they actually did happen. And to your point, yeah. Eric is just all of the talent you could ever need. And then you've got the Godfather, Trey, in the band as well. So did you have any conversations with Trey?
Oh yeah, totally. I was talking to Trey every day. He's a really super nice guy, and was sitting there rehearsing my own stuff and listening to his stuff and looking at how he was playing those riffs. It's just insane because his technique is so out of the ordinary. You know, he's the only guy that's doing like this. You know,
Yes,
he's got an insane kind of strange way to move his fingers around. And I was also there. This is actually the tour where the Morbid Angel got to know Destructor. You know, Thor that was later in the band.
Yep.
So I remember we were sitting backstage and Thor was playing some riffs for Trey, and he was really impressed by the fact that he had nailed some Morbid Angel riffs on his own, completely correct.
Without
so I think,
showing him, yeah.
Yeah, so he was showing him this stuff. So it might have been where he initially thought about maybe to get him on board one day if that was happening. So and Thor was actually also playing many of the leads on the previous Cadaver album. So
gotcha. Yeah.
He did 3 or 4 leads on the Edward and Bile album. So I've pretty much been in the scene and seen so many things throughout my time. So it's if I collect all these things, maybe one day into a story, I will probably consider that. But right now I'm too busy making music to be thinking about all these stories. But
for the book, you got to write the book eventually.
Yeah, might do that, because there's a lot of things throughout the history of metal that I've been witness to firsthand. So even like in 1990, Cadaver had a show together with Dark Throne in Oslo.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, it was like $5 to get in, and there was probably 50 or 60 people there. And among those people, the whole lineup of Mayhem with Dead was in the room. So they were just walking around trying to sell some albums or cassettes to get money to survive. And when we had done our show, Euronymous came up to us and asked if Mayhem could play a few songs. And we're like, sure, man. We just lend them our gear. And Mayhem performed 3 or 4 songs with Dead on the stage after, everything was done. And it was probably... Some people had already left because this was like half an hour after we finished the show. So we were just really small group of people witnessing an unannounced Mayhem show with Dead. So I've seen that stuff too,
Did you like Euronymous?
Yeah, he was pretty much my mentor when I was getting into this. My first encounter with extreme metal was that I listened to this local radio show from Oslo in '86, and Mayhem was there presenting their demo and playing lots of other bands' music. And I somehow found their telephone number and called Euronymous the next week. And I was invited to come to the rehearsal. So I saw Mayhem rehearse in the room before Death Crush was even released. And that made me want to start my own extreme band, basically.
And the rest is history.
And the rest is history, yeah. Actually, one of the projects we started doing during COVID was to rehearse in this studio where I'm sitting now with Necro Butcher and Mannheim. And Billy Messiah, who is still a singer for another project I have called Order, which is an acronym for Mayhem. Order is the opposite of Mayhem. But we have been rehearsing all the Pure Fucking Armageddon songs and the Death Crush songs. So we have a live act which will be called 1405 Mayhem, which is the postcode where they had their original postbox. And do all the old songs and some covers they did back then, like Procreation of the Wicked by Celtic Frost and Witching Hour from Mayhem, from Venom, and a couple of other songs. So that's actually something we are looking at booking in festivals next year too, when Mayhem is actually 40 years old.
I love how you're honouring the past, and you're obviously a big part of what happened in that burgeoning scene that influenced the entire world. And were you inspired at all by Sadistic Execution from Sydney at all? back then?
Well, I mean, they were a part of music I heard. Obviously, to get all this music, you had to tape trade at the time. So my source for tape trading first was Euronymous, and then obviously Metallion from Slayer magazine in Norway was
he's
a really
come up a
important
lot,
guy.
in conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I met him in '87 and went to his home. He lived in the second floor in a house with his very old mom and dad, and he had this full second floor filled up with fanzines, LPs, and tapes. And he probably had the most extensive underground collection at the time from anywhere in the world, because he was literally, everybody sent stuff to him from the whole world. So Sadistic Intent was obviously one of the bands we listened to. Also, what's he called? Hobbs, Angel Death.
Yep, indeed. Yeah, he just passed away a couple of years ago. But yeah.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. I think I don't know whether it was cancer or what have you, but I know he lived on the south coast of New South Wales, I think, or something. But he was looking after his mother too. But it was a bit of a sad demise. In Australia, the industry here is fucked, right? So it doesn't give due recognition to the extreme metal acts like Slaughterlord too, who what's the band from Gothenburg called? Sorry, with the metal, the band that spied all of the metalcore, Slaughter of the Soul. That album.
Oh yeah, at the Gates.
At the Gates. God, any other time I'd remember. Yeah, but I mean, these were bands from Sydney that inspired the world too, and the industry here doesn't give a shit, about the arias or whatever. And I don't think the bands care, by the way. But we as fans, as appreciators, want to see these bands get their just desserts. And in the same way that the Norwegian Grammys honoured the black metal bands, I spoke to Astanu. Jamie at all? Yeah.
Who? Jamie? No, not yet.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Well, he was in Dimmu Borgir and Covenant and.
That guy, of course. Yeah, no, I remember that guy. Yeah, he was here for some years. Yeah, that's over 20 years ago, right?
About 30 years. Yeah, well, 25 years ago. You're right. It's closer to closer to 30 at this point. I only caught up with him last week. Actually, nice fella.
Oh yeah, nice.
But it's nice to catch up with you guys that have been around a long time. You've got all of the stories, mate, and I enjoy listening.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of stories. I have so many stories also from the time I was in Celtic Frost. That was insane. You
were in Celtic Frost.
Yeah, on the 2006 and 7 when they released Monotheist, I did all the festivals and tours subsequently in America.
Wow. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that. That's magnificent. Congratulations on that accomplishment.
Well, yeah, thank you. But it's one of those things, when I was really going through a strange phase in my life. I was actually with another electronic band from Norway called Apoptygma Berserk. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, Tom G. Warrior came to our show, and I didn't know at the time he saw us live in Zurich. But 2 months later, he just called me out of the blue and asked if I could join Celtic Frost. And I was just blown away. I thought it was like a prank call at first and stuff like that, because you never expect Tom G. Warrior to call you about anything, So that experience really shaped a lot of things moving forward for me, because I learned a lot about the business and how to play on huge stages in a headliner way, and having like total legends looking at your band when you're playing in the band was really strange. Like when we played in New Orleans, the two guys in the front row in front of where I was standing was Phil Anselmo and Pepper Keenan, and they were just singing all the lyrics back, to Tom.
Unreal. Yeah.
From the front. Having the whole band of Voivod standing on the side of the stage watching another show in Montreal, and the guys from Sepultura or whoever was inspired by Celtic Frost came out to see the band all the time. So that was Peter Steele from Type O Negative. Yeah, he was sitting on my bag at the backstage, sleeping when I got off stage in New York, stuff like that. Strange stuff. So you can only experience that if you are super lucky, but I was very lucky. been that all my life actually, to be able to do this full on, and having experience with all these super legendary bands, and I learned a lot.
It says a lot about the caliber of you as a musician, and the way people, these very important people, let's face it, perceive your abilities, that you're included.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really thought about it that way myself. I've just been trying to do whatever I do as good as I can. But, it's I've been at the right time, at the right place many a time. So I've been very lucky to be able to explore all that stuff.
I promise this will be my last question, but just on the Celtic Frost thing, did you observe any of the problems between Tom and I can't remember the name of the drummer at the time, but I understand there were issues there.
Franco?
Might have been Franco, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Franco. Yeah. Yes and no. All bands have different dynamics. I can't say anything really bad about any of those guys, because they really showed me so many cool things that I would never been without. But all bands have internal problems and friction between band members. But I was never questioned or put into a corner where I had to make a choice about any of them. So I was just lucky to be a part of it. So I always keep in touch with Tom and Franco. I've been in touch with a little bit, but I've seen Tom much more lately. I mean, even last year we were hanging out in Oslo when he played with the Triumph of Death at the Inferno. Nice. So we keep in touch, but it's all an experience, It's a part of everything I've learned.
Well, I hope to see you down here in Australia, mate. We'd love to see you down here with Cadaver or any other act, actually. So good luck with it. It's a killer album, what you've got here, The Age of the Offended. So I'm sure it'll be very, very well received, and hopefully that's the feedback that you've been given from people like me as you've done these interviews.
Yes, very much so. I'm really stoked about the fact that Australia seemed to understand this album quicker than everybody else. So that's good to know.
All right, well, God bless and good luck with everything, brother.
Thank you very much, and stay safe down in Australia.
Rightio, there you go. What an interesting bit of information that he shared toward the end there. Celtic Frost, how we miss them. Never saw them in Australia. I know they toured here once or twice. I think it was 2007 where they toured on the back of Monotheist, and it really wasn't that well promoted from memory, because they certainly didn't visit Brisbane or the Gold Coast. Usually just Sydney or Melbourne get these sort of shows, sometimes just Melbourne, as is the case with groups like Scorpions and Nocturnus AD, never mind. But another great conversation in the catalogue of conversations that have been broadcast through the Scars and Guitars podcast. If you enjoyed that one, there are many more just like it. Go across to scarsandguitars.com. I don't need to tell you what to do. You know what to do. There's a menu there and you can dive into them for yourself. Elsewhere, I've written a book and I've got some more information to share with you about it. If you want to download a copy or a sample, go to the website, click on the link in the banner, and you know the rest. Go to a marketplace of your choice and download that sample or complete the purchase. I'd appreciate it. I do appreciate it. So many of you have purchased the book already and given me feedback. I'm flattered, believe me. Got some more information to share with you about the book in the moment, but before we get to it, I'll bid you a fond farewell. My name is Andrew Mackay-Smith and I'm the host of the Scars and Guitars podcast series. Until next time, it is a goodbye for now.
This is Eric Rattan of Cannibal Corpse. You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast with Andrew Mackay-Smith.
I've been the host of the Scars and Guitars podcast since 2017. The first musician I interviewed for the show was David Vincent from Morbid Angel, and things have just snowballed from there. In all, I've posted almost 650 podcast episodes featuring conversations with many of the leading lights of rock, heavy metal, and beyond. It just got to a point where I thought, I need to write a book about all this, so that's exactly what I did. In Scars and Guitars Volume 1, you'll read a heap of deep reveals and commentary, such as Des Fafara talking about Coal Chamber and why the band will never return.
If you're a band just starting out, you need to hear me. Do not start a band with partners. Ever.
Yeah, wise words there. Sage advice, mate, for anybody.
Don't ever, because I can't go do Coal Chamber right now unless I get others involved.
Phil Anselmo talks about the episode in his career which gives him the greatest sense of accomplishment.
I think the staying power of the fans and the staying power of the songs, whether it's Pantera, Down, or Superjoint, the fans remember the songs.
Alex Skolnick from Testament confirms that, yes, playing the guitar in Ozzy's band is anything but an ordinary gig. Will Silent Oz from Dimmu Borgir write a book? Pa from Sabaton gives advice to people who want to start a band.
Look at the team around you, look at the bandmates. If the guys want to be on the stage, then it's all cool. If the guys want to be backstage, then it's not going to be cool.
Current and former members of Cradle of Filth discuss the band's seminal 90s material. Read about the reaction to George Lynch and Mark from Suicide Silence's comments when they throw shade at then President Donald Trump.
We have this idiotic monster, this egotistical, self-aggrandizing, complete piece of shit in there. I just can't understand how we've gotten to this place.
And yeah, we kicked a hornet's nest with Sepultura. Percussive overlord Gene Hoglan talks about recording with Chuck Schuldiner.
Chuck was always, he was very open-minded, and he was into having his musicians that were playing with him just reach out for the best stuff that they had.
Phil Campbell from Motorhead discusses what it takes to get sober. John Five answers his critics who dismiss his tenure with Marilyn Manson.
My name is John Five, and Manson gave me that name, and I had some of the best years of my life in that band and learned a lot. And
we get the lowdown on Treyarch Zagtoth from those who would know, including his mother. All across Scars and Guitars Volume 1, there are moments of tension, relief, tragedy, exhilaration, and throughout it all, you'll obtain insight that I believe no one else has managed to obtain from many of your favourite artists. So treat yourself. Scars and Guitars Volume 1 is currently available as an ebook with a print edition on the horizon. Follow the links attached and download a sample. I'm sure you'll be compelled to read the whole book.